Okay. This sucks. Yeah, so this is what I mean. Yeah, I really, I really tried hard. It's hard to try hard not to be, it's really about not being afraid, um, not trying to be something. How do you try to not be something and and not be afraid, and just to be here and just let yourself go without trying to be something? I'm trying not to be something by being here and not trying to force myself to do something that and not to give a shit, to literally not give a shit, and to even sound crazy. Yes, to sound crazy. That is very gutsy. Well, I'm gonna put ourselves there, and someone's gonna say, "Wow, this guy's fucking crazy." But you know what? Right now, I don't want to think about trying to be something. I just want to be. And that's really, really hard because your programming is telling you, well, oh my God, you're going to say this, and then that's going to lead to that. And then this person's going to hear, and then your future job is not going to hire you, or your business partners or investors or whatever. And then the system and that's how the system programs you, right? Like it, and even now, everything I'm saying, I'm like, fuck, I have this controlling hand that's like, okay, well, if you say this, you might sound crazy, or if you say that, oh, and now as I'm saying the right thing and I'm in the moment, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Um, yeah, then I'm doing the right thing. I'm sounding cool. Oh, I'm in the right track. I don't want to be on the right track. I just want to be me. And that's the hardest thing for all of us is just to be me, you, without the right track, because the right track is the wrong track. Do you get what I mean? Because the right track in your mind is the thing that society constructed over you. You have to sound a certain way. So right now I'm flowing better in the conversation, and already this is fucking with me because it's telling me that now I'm sounding a little bit better than the crazy in the beginning. And that's what I'm saying. It's very hard to keep track of I am in the moment and I'm just being me. I'm not trying to be anything else without the programming because me is very confusing. It's really not you. It's with the programming. Every me is with the programming. When you put out a personality, it's based on what your parents want you to be, what society wants you to be, what your boss wants you to be, what your future jobs want to be, what your investors want you to be, everything, or what your future, or what even you don't even have. Your future girlfriend that doesn't exist, your future business that doesn't exist. All these are programming you and encapsulating you to be, um, and then you're like, oh, this is me. No, it's not you. You is that's just flowing. And then, um, yeah, I saw something interesting about the successful streamer on YouTube, and she said that the way she became successful is just she gave herself a year to just say anything on camera until what her calling is gets revealed. And that's I think something powerful. Like yeah, it's not to try to be anything and then let yourself what you're programming, because at the end of the day we're all programmed to be something, and that programming comes out. And yeah, and then okay, let's do this. Let's do something. You see, I'm trying so hard to try and be something that is based on programming. Okay, so what if we did um let's give me a tip on the interesting stuff that see, still trying to be. Okay, so uh yeah, whenever I pause this way, I'm basically saying that my the voices in my head are telling me to try to be based on what society wants me to be. Like, I was thinking of, okay, should I make a sweepstake so I can get more viewers? Should I do these show ideas or whatever? And right now, I'm not trying to do that. I think what I'm just trying to be myself and say things that come out in my head based without any programming. So I'm repeating myself over and over again because it's going to take me time to do that. So I'm going to sound crazy, um, and that's a good thing. I'm going to sound crazy until I can fully be in the moment in the stream and learn from being in the moment in the stream and not giving a shit whatever anyone sees. That's it. That's the goal. And then to see what comes out. Who am I? Who the fuck am I on stream? What is going to come out? What am I? What? Yeah. So yeah, I had an interesting weekend. Um, I I had an interesting weekend. I watched Yellowstone, which was a really good show. I started watching that. I'm on the fifth episode, and it gives a cool, there's a cool American Western vibe to it. I really like that. Absolute freedom, um, being a cowboy, whatever that means. But it looks pretty cool being a cowboy. Um, yeah, another thing that's interesting is pain. Um, the best ideas come from pain, but I was thinking about this, like it's so, but you have to push yourself to be in the pain. But then, should we force ourselves to be in a painful mindset, like to have pain in life in order to come up with good ideas? Is that what it is? Like, should we continuously? That's it's because it's kind of messed up, right? Like, there's no doubt that the greatest ideas come out from pain, but then how do you self-impose pain without completely messing up your life? Because I'll be honest with you, like if you go homeless right now and you lose everything, and um, you'll come up with some really creative ideas. I mean, it'll put you in a mindset that you'll see some parts of the world that you haven't seen before, and it'll show you you'll have really interesting things. So, wow, I really think the hardest thing is to try and be yourself for 1 or 2 hours. Imagine sitting there without any programming, without your screaming brain telling you, "Oh, I need to go pick up the groceries or whatever this to-do list item or work item or call or meeting," or being afraid that someone's going to think X or Y about you. Getting rid of that and just flowing, like just doing your work, or because whatever, not even work that someone is telling you that you have to do, just because it just comes out of you like that. That is some of the hardest. That is really, really hard. It just shows how we're really, really programmed. And the question is how do we get out of that? How do we get out of that? If anyone has any ideas of what they've done to get out of that, but I feel like right now just talking is actually helping. As long as you talk a lot, the talking removes the thinking, and it just puts you in the moment. So I'm realizing this is something, an exercise that's actually interesting. It's actually working. I'm just talking. Doesn't matter if I'm saying something interesting or not. I don't give a shit. Obviously, no one's watching the stream. I put out like like I put up crazy things like follow me for 20 bucks, or and no one's watching obviously because a follow for 20 bucks, that's a easy money. And yeah, follow me and get 20 bucks. Let's see if this works right now. Um, you see, no one's watching the stream. And tell me your PayPal, email, and you get 20 bucks. Okay, in the comment. Anyways, let's see what that goes. Okay, so not giving a shit. So interesting observation. Talking continuously is a sort of meditative state, puts you in a meditative state. Talking consistently puts you in a meditative state that makes you forget the programming that society puts on you, and you start becoming yourself just by doing that. You start becoming less afraid. I'm less afraid of someone listening, hearing what I'm saying, or me sounding crazy. It's still hard. My brain is fucking fighting me. Like, hey, hey, be careful. Like, someone's gonna hear you. You're gonna sound stupid or whatever it is. And I'm letting go because the truth is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. No one gives a shit. It doesn't fucking matter. It never will. And the people that it matters to will disappear, and the people that know them will disappear, and it will be fantastic. Like, it'll just life goes on. So it really doesn't matter. Just let's be wow, imagine doing something for years and not giving a shit, you know? Not trying to gain money out of it, not just being yourself. That's wow, I've never done that before. Trying just doing something based on what you're trying not you're trying to be, just based on you and letting that whatever comes out of that do its thing. Phew, that's a hard one. You always have goals. I need to make money at a specific time. I need to hit a certain goal. I need to what if I don't succeed? What if nothing happens out of this? What if I'm wasting my time? And then your brain just and then it just kills everything. And then it just kills the being in the the being that thing that you're supposed to be. And then you'll die and you won't be what you're supposed to be, which is crazy to me. Imagine dying and not doing what you're supposed to be. Yeah, dying and not knowing who you're supposed to be because you were always trying to come up with ideas based on trends, come up with ideas based on what's hot, what's not, what your parents told you, and then you just ran your whole life. You're 90 years old and you've never actually been what you're supposed to be. I think streaming gives you a good opportunity to do that. Because right now I could do this and it has more pressure because I'm more afraid to sound bad. I'm more afraid to sound crazy and I'm putting myself out there. Wow, I think maybe streaming is like the best way um to see to figure out who you are and to learn how to not give a shit. I think some people also do acting, like, right? They like do acting and they go on stage and start like, you know, learning how to act because you're in front of people. It's embarrassing, and at some point you have to improvise and learn how to do things on the spot, which I think is great. So I guess this is a free way of doing that. I don't have to take an Uber to go to an acting class, and I could just do it here. So I want you to. It will be great. Wow, I actually don't give a shit anymore. I just realized something interesting happened. I don't give a shit anymore, and that's great. So let's continue talking. So, what is the most interesting thing that happened to me in the past year? Yeah, the most interesting thing. What is the most interesting thing that happened to you in the past year? Hmm. I think the most interesting thing is I wrote this. I'm in the process of writing this paper, but it's so controversial that I don't know if I should release it. I guess I'm afraid, and I shouldn't be afraid because that's being myself. Yeah, I guess I answered my question. So I need to write it and just not be afraid. Just keep on going with the things God has given me. Also, on the God belief, another thing that I've had this year is see, going back right now, my brain is telling me, well, you should come up with something that has to do with your work and your programming. You have to come up with content that will help your job and help your business or whatever. And that's not where it's supposed to be. I'm just trying to flow and whatever comes out, comes out. So yeah, God belief. Very interesting. I went from a militant atheist to a God believer, and I think it's partially what I'm trying to do now. It ties to that because you are obviously. I think the God belief is it's some of the most powerful anxiety removal pills, and I've tried Xanax, I've tried all of the I've tried opiates, I tried the whole thing, and God is like 10 times better than that because it like puts you in the mindset. I mean, it's again, you could do it based on faith, and you could do it based on faith and based on logic. I had to because I'm very logical, I need to get back to God through logic. And now faith came later, but the logic part is um obviously this world is not deterministic, and we know that, and things are very random, and we don't know what things are going to it's a very stoic way of looking at God, which is like there's just it's all out of control. Yes, you do have some control, but not a lot. And I think we overplay what we do have in our control. Like if you're born short and low IQ and not attractive, how is this person in control and can go and get it in life? So I think the people who in the control camp are just ridiculous. If they really ask themselves, like, to go fully to the conclusion that things are in control. Yeah, things are in control when you have all the proper variables. You're healthy. You're in the right country. Yeah, yeah, sure. You have some control over some things. Like you could get the job that you want, but generally speaking, you're not in control. So believing in God is really just believing in truth, which is like nature is immensely complex, rich, and has whether it's the laws of physics and laws of nature and all these variables of complexity around us, and we can't let's just accept whatever is there and not put programming between us and what we're supposed to be. So if you're that um midget, whatever, I'm just giving that example. If you're a midget and with low IQ or whatever, right? Be be that person, and don't try to be a get a job and have a steady job or whatever, and then you could maybe become like a Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice is a massive success. He has an audience, and people are giving him shit that like people are saying Howard Stern abused him. The guy found a calling, and he found a calling based on just being himself. He just spoke on the camera and was himself. He didn't try to go get a 9 to 5 job at like there's like jobs for people with low IQ. They would have given him a job for people with low IQ. They'll like have him clean some factory, and that's fucked up. Like he was himself, and something big came out of that just by being himself. And so that's what I think the God belief is just letting your letting the programming of society out, throwing that out, and letting God come into your life. That's what it means. Is like letting God come into your life means that you're basically letting go of the programming and just following whatever the programming that was given to you, um, and just following that. Just waking up every day and just being that programming that God has programmed you. Now, if for you God bothers you, it means nature has programmed you. Your genes, your parents, your nature, the chance that you were born in this body that you were born, and you're just that. So just accept that and call it. And you could calling it God bothers you, then all good. But you get what I'm saying. That is God, and and you need to trust Him. You need to trust that and letting go, and that's the greatest stress reliever of all time. It's unbelievable, and um, well, then you could talk about the Bible. It does. I think like because it's such a old book, and it survived for a very long time, and because it survived a very long time, people have been right grabbing like every generation continuously like grabs onto it and believes in it because it gives meaning to every generation. So that means that out of all the texts and all the things that were launched in the past 4,000 years, for some reason, that one works every generation. They try it and it works every time. And the sample size has been massive in the past 4,000 years. Imagine how many human beings tested and questioned the Bible and tested and questioned the Bible and then continued following it. So that means that there's something like the sample size here needs to get credit. The sample size is so massive. That means that there's truth in it. And the older something is, the larger the sample size is, and the more it survives. I mean that it was tested properly over time, and then meaning it's true. It's true over it's true. It is because of that. If something is if an idea is if I give you a new idea right now, especially in the realm of psychology and the realm of human affairs, of course, with something that you could falsify, that's a different story. But in human affairs, I think when it comes to the branch of psychology, which I put religion in, religion is psychology. It's like it's human affairs, psychology. It's in that space of the world, in that space, in that realm. Things should have the largest sample size possible. And I think psychology doesn't have the field of psychology. The reason why there's the problem of reproducibility is that the sample size is not large enough. You need sample size over time as well because every generation, every era has different weather conditions, different technology, different um, events like world events, different diseases, different so many things. Like imagine how much variables change over time. So I think religion is a field in psychology that has survived for so long, especially some religions like Judaism and Christianity, um, has survived for so long that it shows that imagine over a 4,000 year period, something survived over every generation, over every catastrophe, nature catastrophe, diseases, famines, etc., 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 and it survived. And then also people attacking it, right? Like people have been attacking the Bible, like questioning it or whatever, and it gets attacked, and for some reason it still survived. So that survival over time shows how it's true. It has to be true. And when I say true to the atheist out there, I don't mean true like it's it's falsifiable. That's for science. I think science and religion are two different things. I think science and psychology are two different things. Karl Popper brought this up a long time ago. Um, Science and psychology are two different branches. They're not. There's no competition. There's not one better than the other. They're both equally important, and they're just separate. They're two different things. So let's not talk about science. Science is a whole different conversation. I'm talking right now about human health, mental health, um, survival, the group, the family unit. All that is the branch of psychology or religion. I mean, let's call it religion because I think psychology is also a modern day religion. And in that space of religion, um, the way you verify if something is true or not is, like I said, the law is sample size and over time. And I think psychology doesn't say that. They like release a paper and they're like, oh, here we had a sample size that passed the um, p-value, whatever, and oh, it's true because of that. Or no, it needs to be true. That paper needs to survive for 700 years, 1,000 years, 2,000 years. And if that paper survived for 2,000 years and people are still using it and it's working, then yes, that paper is it's going to be reproducible because people in religious systems are healthier. And there's stats about this. They're like mentally healthier. And I tried this on myself. I was an atheist. Really mentally unfit. I was not feeling well. I was sick. I was like mentally sick. I was every time I was going to psychologists, these motherfuckers were adding another new mental illness every year or so. And then over time, um, and then when I went back into religion, I realized that system is designed for mental health. Holidays, put the family together so you're less lonely, puts you and your friends together. Holidays, prayer, right? It's a form of meditation. Believing in God, it's letting go, submitting, like submitting to not having anxiety, to understanding that everything is part of a plan designed by nature, by God. Again, if if the word God throws you off, replace that with nature or whatever, and you'll feel better about it. And then let faith enter after that. But the point is that holidays, what else is in there? Um, Also, pausing. A big theme in religion is pausing dopamine. It's fasting, taking a break on this, don't have sex before marriage, blah blah blah. All those things. It's pausing dopamine, and in our society, it's like dopamine. We're in dopamine frenzy. It's everywhere. Well, is um, that is the opposite of that. Religion is the opposite of a dopamine frenzy. It tells you pause, fast, don't do X on 1 day a week. Don't work 1 day a week. Don't once every year. Don't eat at all. And all religions have that pattern. It's like pausing dopamine. And by the way, an interesting distinction is if you look at a lot of new cults, in my opinion, they're not good religious systems because they're because I was watching this documentary on Netflix about Raelism. Raelism. It's some new religion of some fucking French pervert. Um, Obviously, a French guy launching a religion, like it's gonna be these French people are real perverts. I'm sorry, but they're fucking perverts. And I mean, not all of them, but you get what I'm saying. So this guy, he, it's like an alien religion, and part of the religion, I knew why it was a bad religion because of um of the devil, and I'll explain what of the devil is. I think what religions mean of the devil is just dopamine, um, unaltered dopamine release. I mean, uncontrolled dopamine release. I think that's what the devil means for religions. And I think once you really like write down all the stuff that they say when the devil, it's like all the temptations. Like, do this and do it as much as you can. Do as you feel. Do what pleases you. That's really of the devil. And like, for example, that realism, that alien religion, they were saying how oh yeah, you're allowed to do anything, anything goes. Sex. I think they even had in the early in their history, like in the 70s, they were like supposedly doing it with kids as well. Unsurprisingly, and everything goes right. Every sexuality, whatever it is you want to do, it just goes. So uh, yeah. Uh, Anyways, well, I felt free for 40 minutes because I did not, for the past at least 20, 30 minutes, I did not feel programmed. Like I just let go and became myself. Well, that's good. That's very, very good. All right, fellas. I'll come back to stream